Hi guys, welcome back to another episode of Smoke and Mirrors Reflections. I am Rob, and this week we are taking a look at 1993's John Woo actioner Hard Target, which is one of my favorites. Thanks. All right. So this week we're taking a look at Hard Target, which is one of the coolest movies that kind of surprised me. It was also one of the first movies that I remember seeing a poster for, and I was like, Van Damme's new one? When I migrated from South Africa. So it sticks in my mind a lot. So Hard Target, made in 1993, directed by John Woo. So this was his first American movie that he made when he moved from Hong Kong and set up base in the States. He was actually given the script in 91, but chose not to do it until he kind of he figured out what his next move was going to be after Hard Boiled. Because he directed this in 92, I believe, he was actually the first Asian director to helm a big budget Hollywood studio film. This one's written by Chuck Farrer, who's a former Navy SEAL, I believe. So he does a lot of like military-esque movies. It's starring Jean-Claude Van Damme as Chance Boudreaux. It's got Yancy Butler there as Natasha Binder. It's got Lance Henriksen, who plays the villain, Emile Fouchon. It's got South African royalty, Arnold Vosloo as Pick Van Cleef. And he was actually named that after Lee Van Cleef because John Woo is a massive, massive Western fan, and he's just a massive cinema fan. Apparently, his voicemail is the theme from Lawrence of Arabia. We got Chuck Farrer, who wrote the script, also pulling double duties as Douglas Binder. We've got Casey Lemons as Marie Mitchell, a detective in the movie. And we got Wilford Brimley, the much beloved, rest in peace, Wilford Brimley, as Uncle Duvet. So the plot is Natasha Binder, Yancy Butler, is looking for her father. She enlists the help of New Orleans local Chance Boudreaux to chaperone her through the city because she's given the advice that she should find someone because it can be pretty dangerous. Before long, things just go off the rails. The cops won't help. The bad guys are hunting them, and their only chance of survival is to make the hunters the hunted. So it's a classic action movie setup there. Done very, very early in the movie, you see the hunters do their thing, and why they're so imposing. So let's kick it off. We're looking at the heroes, the villains, the action, and then does this thing hold up at the end of the day? So we get the hero of the story, the main hero. We get Chance because his mama took one. So he is morally straight. We hear very early on that he had thrown a captain overboard because he was a trade merchant. But the captain was running drugs, so Chance didn't like that and threw him overboard. He's ex-military, morally straight. He's a hand-to-hand expert. He was ex-SEAL, ex-Marine, so he knows how to use his guns. And he is born on and raised in the bayou Cajun style. And we get Natasha Binder. Or Nat, because she was named after a bug. She's desperate. She's heartbroken because she's lost her father. She's just kind of regained this relationship with him. So she's going through New Orleans, really trying to find him. And she's shocked at a lot of the things that she finds. Him being homeless, him handing out flyers for like XXX rated shows and things that she didn't realize she'd find. And then the later realization that he had died really sinks in, but then that he was murdered just pushes her sort of over the top. All in all, a great sort of weighty character, but she does end up being the damsel in distress. She gets one scene to shine, but like a lot of it is very, very save me-esque. And then the last hero, because we're kind of light in heroes in this movie, but the last hero is Duvet, Chance's uncle. So he's old school, makes moonshine. He cares about his drink flasks and things like that. He's very old school in the sense that even the weaponry he uses a bow and arrow. He travels by horseback. He still lives out in the bayou, very, very, very low key. But he's so charming with his French demeanor that, like, you know, he's kind of lovable too. And that wraps it up for the heroes in this one. So the villains in this one. So we get some really, really good ones actually. So we get Fouchon, Emile Fouchon, played by Lance Henriksen, the Master. So a little throwback to Hard Boiled there. He carries the exact same gun. I think it's called a Defender. Don't quote me on this. I'm not a gun fanatic at all, so I have no idea what the fuck's going on. He's extremely cold. He's very, very business centric, focused on, like, you know, what they need to do next, and he doesn't view life as something worth saving. We see this with how cold he kind of talks to the I guess the hunters that he's hosting to kill a man, but also in how he treats his own men. So he's not afraid, and he doesn't care about killing his own people. And we do see that a couple of times during the movie as well. So we get Pick, who is an adversary. He's like the physical matchup for Van Damme, if there was one in this movie. He is South African. He keeps the accent, which is great because you don't really hear Arnold Vosloo really use it that much in the Mummy movies. So this one, you really get to see it, and I think it sticks out. I don't find it hard to understand. I actually find it quite distinctive, and I love it. He can have the evilest face. I don't think I've ever seen Arnold Vosloo besides the what's it called, Sam? Darkman sequels. I don't remember him actually playing a good guy. The way that he is framed in this movie is extremely evil. The way he uses his face to portray the menace of Pick is great. But other than that, he's a tracker, and you see him use his tracking skills in this movie as well. And he's just an assassin. But he himself, it's just a business for him. He's in the business of killing people. So that wraps it up for our villains. And they're pretty, I think, evenly stacked. These villains come with a crew that Chance has to kind of dispatch and get rid of through the movie. So let's go into the action. So we kind of know Woo's style now. Very frenetic, balletic, kinetic, and we see those in the action sequences. We also know that he shoots in sequence so he can ramp the action sequences up as they go, so he can top the last one as he kind of evolves the movie. So we get a nice intro to Chance in this. It's done very Western-like. He's almost like this grifter, and he's a little bit shifty, but he's charming. So he kind of gets forgiven a lot. He sees the moves that these guys are kind of making on Natasha in this cafe, where we're introduced to both of them. And very Western-like, he sees these guys plotting on Natasha after they see how much money she's got on her. And we see it in the reflection of this door. So it kind of gets ramped up, and then the thugs attack Natasha. And then, like, Chance kind of steps in. He's not very loud. He's almost like the strong silent type. He tells the guy to take his boyfriend and get out of there. And when the thugs won't sort of leave them alone, then he has to step into action. So this is a pretty cool action sequence. It's mad because we get to see Van Damme perform a lot of these moves as well. I know there's a rivalry between Van Damme and Seagal, but Van Damme just looks he looks great on camera when he's like actually there doing the moves. He's kicking guys off cars, he's throwing guys through windows and stuff. And I kind of wonder with this action sequence if it would have just been cheaper for them to take the money out of Natasha's wallet and throw someone through a plate glass window and let the cafe pay for it. But maybe they got insurance. But it's a great intro because it shows us straight away that Chance's character is one that is he's a protector, and he's willing to stand up for the things that he believes in. Then we kind of get like this big sequence where it's just like a street assault, and Chance is they're almost ambushed by Fushan's men because Fushan didn't know that Natasha's father had family. He actually thought that this Douglas Binder was someone else entirely who didn't have any relatives because they try to keep it clean so that they can just kill this person and then no one will ask questions. But someone did come asking questions, and after Pick kills Randall, who is one of the middlemen to recruit people for Fushan, he also kind of ambushes Chance and this detective and also Natasha. And then what ensues is almost like this firefight on the road and also a semi-chase. So utilizing a lot of Wu's favorite things, which are guns and motorcycles. Chance dispatches a lot of people, a lot of cool ways. There's one where he drives a motorcycle straight into a car and then shoots the motorcycle and it explodes. He's shooting guys in cars. He's kind of jumping up on bikes. He's rolling over cars. And it's a good showcase for John Woo, especially in his first Hollywood movie. And then Nat and Chance kind of get away. They jump on a train, and then it takes them straight to the bayou. So when they're in the bayou, they meet up with Duvet, played by Wilford Brimley, and then they set this plan. They know these guys are after them, but they want to turn the tables. So they figure out what's going to be their kill box almost, and how they're going to set these guys up. There's a brief action sequence at Duvet's house where they destroy everything, but then Duvet shoots this arrow through the house and it lights this lantern. It cuts this lantern down. The lantern lights up and the whole house explodes. And then Pick tracks Van Damme through the bayou. And this was originally supposed to be like a boat chase. And it didn't actually pan out that way because Jean-Claude Van Damme wanted to change it, make it more grounded, and make it a horseback chase, which is fair enough. And it still looks well. I don't think boat chase through the bayou would have been as fitting for the character. So they go because now they're on the way to the Mardi Gras graveyard, which is where they keep all the props for the Mardi Gras that happens in New Orleans. So once they're there, Chance is now sort of setting plans to ambush them and catch them out and sort of even the field because they got henchmen with them on bikes and all sorts of things. So he's kind of baiting them and drawing them in so he can take out a lot of them and use the element of surprise. And he does that. And there's a few sequences there where Chance is kind of lowered down, much like Hard Boiled, where Tequila kind of swings in from the ceiling. John Woo kind of uses that here as well. Chance is on like this winged horse type thing, like shooting. I think he's got a shotgun, a really iconic kind of silver shotgun that he uses. Not as much impact as Hard Boiled, but it's still pretty cool. There's birds as well. So John Woo uses birds a lot to kind of show the purity of the character, or to show a character moment. And we see that in this scene too. It's pretty cool. There was a thing that Lance Henriksen did, and this was awesome. So he set up this little character beat for himself. So him and the special effects guys made it so that at one point the character's jacket would light on fire. John Woo had no idea about this. This is almost reversing the tables on him from what happened in Hard Boiled with Chow Yun-fat and setting off the explosions after him. Lance Henriksen's coat lights on fire. John Woo had no idea. He's panicking. And then Lance Henriksen kind of like takes the coat off and throws it on the side. But he had the protective gel on and all different things. You actually see it in one scene where he's really, really shiny. And that, like, you know, was actually kept in the film, which is pretty cool. This character, this action sequence lasts like maybe 20 minutes. And it's actually really, really cool. You get to see a lot of John Woo's strengths with, like, you know, the gunfights and also the hand-to-hand stuff and how he handles action and those character beats that make it more impactful. We also see what is now almost like this classic framing of John Woo. And I think it's more an American thing as well, because I don't remember it in Hard Boiled or The Killer. But it's this thing where characters are separated by a wall, but they're still able to talk to each other. They're almost facing different ways. And it kind of showcases the adversarial side of that relationship, but also that they're talking, which sort of heightens attention in the middle of a gunfight. And we see that with Pick and Chance here. We also seen it in Face Off as well. They do it, which is pretty cool. And we see a shitload of slow-mo, but done really, really well. So does this movie hold up? Yes, absolutely. Hard Target still impresses. So it still maintains a lot of the gritty rawness from John Woo's Hong Kong films. And it's on, like, you know, display here, what he's kind of bringing. So the slow-mo scenes are done really well. They're not overdone. It's not like Zack Snyder slow-mo. It's definitely a different kind of beast entirely. They almost play like the character and the audience are kind of holding their breath doing something and then slowly kind of exhaling at the climax of the action. John Woo uses these animal roars and exaggerated, like, panning, whooshing sounds to create character impact. So this might be tied to, like, an action scene or maybe investigating a crime scene and finding a clue. But it definitely helps with the weight of the character and us to sort of sympathize with them more and get on their side. So Van Damme had a lot more scenes with weapons in this movie compared to his other scenes. There's a lot more explosions and squibs going off. You see spark shooting as it's actually Van Damme in the scene as well. So, like, you know, it definitely had that those Woo elements to it. but you do kind of see that it's not Van Damme. When you see the explosion, the classic explosion behind the star, it's not him. It's someone with like a bad Billy Ray Cyrus wig on. So Van Damme was actually, I think he was, his stunt double was Rick Waugh. So you might know him as Rick Roman Waugh, which is what he goes by now. But he directed Greenland and some of the Has Fallen films as well. So much like Chad Stahelski, from a stunt background, went on to become a director. I only noticed this. I actually didn't find out, but I actually noticed it in the credits. I was like, Rick Waugh, I know that name. The Western aesthetic in this movie holds up really, really well. So Graham Revell, who does the music, really sort of like he incorporates that theme and that feel into this, as well as the New Orleans sound with the jazzy kind of Dixie feel. And it plays out. It suits it really, really well. It's like just the way that it adds to the hero's journey and the feel of the city, and also the action, because there's a lot more guitars. There's not as much classical in there, but it feels authentic. Well, authentic for an action movie, so it's all heightened anyways. So my final thoughts, it's definitely one of Van Damme's better movies from the 90s. I think it might have been one of his last big movies. Not that Van Damme ever had these massive actioners, but it's a movie that sticks out to me just because when I migrated, it was there. I just felt like I seen Hard Target everywhere. But shortly after, he started doing DTV movies and things like that. So it was one of the better hurrahs for Van Damme. This was John Woo's debut as well. So I didn't know about John Woo. This was some of his lesser works, in my opinion. But for a Hollywood movie, they actually, they were dying to get him over. He gets the project. Cool. Sam Raimi gets called up and they were like, hey, we need you to kind of be on set. And just in case John Woo needs you, you're there. Sam Raimi was like, cool, I want to hang out with John Woo, so he does it. John Woo's constantly not really butting heads with Van Damme, but they kind of have these altercations and things like that. And Van Damme's got a lot of power on this movie. Universal wanted to be in the Jean-Claude Van Damme business. They thought he was a massive draw, and they gave him a lot of control on Final Cut and editing and things that a director really kind of should have, but he didn't. The movie that was turned into the MPAA, which is what rates these movies, was kind of it was too violent for the MPAA, and they wanted to give the movie an NC-17, which is basically almost like a theatrical death sentence in the States. Universal wasn't having that, and they made Woo cut I think upwards of 18 to 20 minutes out of this movie. There's an extended cut which sits it's about 108 minutes, I do believe, and it includes longer death scenes and extra squibs and explosions and more in every scene. But it's also got a couple of more character moments as well. And this director's cut is actually out on all physical media, weirdly, but the digital media remains the theatrical cut. I've seen the director's cut once. It does have some extra bits of Jean-Claude Van Damme swinging on ropes and shooting people and doing extra flips and stuff like that, which is weird because I don't really dig the extra flips. I feel like it's out of character. If the actor doesn't do flips in real life, then I don't believe that the character would, but that's not for me to say. But yeah, it's out there. it's funny because in Germany they cut this one right back down to like I think it's like a 76-minute movie with basically no violence. So I'm glad we got what we got, to be honest. But yeah, definitely check this one out if you're a Van Damme fan, if you're not a John Woo, but a John Woo fan, or an action fan, just in general. Guys, take care of yourselves, love yourself, love movies, and I will see you next week.